Okay. All right. Wally Boston, work as a logistics officer in an all-age company, also doing freelance virtual assistance. All right. Okay. So, glad to have everyone here and glad to have you all on this call today. Right. We're going to be talking about starting a career in product management and what do you really need to focus on, right? And I'm going to be diving into this conversation over the next, say, 40 minutes to an hour, and then we can go into like questions and answers, contributions, right? I can see some faces that I know. Yeah, I can see faces that I know. Okay, so all right, so if you're just joining us, for those that are just joining us, again, introduce yourself in the chat box, your name, what you currently do, so that we have a feel of what you are into while I am trying to share my screen for us to start this conversation. Okay. Mm. Okay, so I guess without further ado, we can get started. Can you all see my screen? Just type yes in the chat box if you can see my screen. Okay, Adedeji is an undergraduate, seasoned graphic designer and video editor. Type yes in the chat box if you can see my screen. Yes in the chat box. Okay. Good morning.
also part of the team at the lab. I'm here to learn, I'm here to support. Everyone is asking, and you can hear you. Let me just hi guys. This is Blessing. Welding. Okay, so I'm just started now.
Okay, so it's good to have everybody here, and glad to be leading this conversation with you all. Right, we're going to be talking about starting a career in product management, and I think I remember I would say that when I started out in product management, it was I used to say it was chaotic because in those earlier days there was really no structure, right? In those earlier days, there was really no structure around what product management is all about. I think in today's world now we have better structures. You know, there is training bodies like what we do at Innova Lab. But if you look back at 2017, 2018, there was literally no structures around product management. It was more just everybody was just trying to figure it out and just play around with it. And again, tech is quite new in Nigeria, really. Most of the tech companies that we probably know, especially like the very popular ones that are really doing well, like in the likes of Flutterwave, Paystax, Piggyvest, Carrywise. And I'm sure you probably know some of these guys or some of these products. You probably use them. I personally use Carrywise a lot for my personal financial saving needs and all. Right. If you look at all their history, they all basically started out 2016, so they're about. So you see that the industry is still very, very young. It's still a very young industry, generally, even the tech industry generally, right? I think things started to really pick up from 2020, COVID days. You know, everybody says, "Oh, tech, tech, tech." It became obvious that there was a need for, going out of just the office box and things in maybe corporate setups and all of that, right? So today we're going to be talking about starting a career in product management, what you need to know. And one thing I've done in setting up and preparing for this conversation is to sort of like streamline what product management is all about, streamline what the career is going to be about, and then also share some ideas around how do you get started in the career path, right? So just to confirm, if you are joining us online, if you can hear me loud and clear, just type yes in the chat box so I'm sure that you can hear me loud and clear before I go ahead. If you can hear me loud and clear, type yes in the chat box. Okay, just to be sure that our online audience can hear me loud and clear. All right, so I'll just move on then. So quick introduction again about myself. My name is Olabanji Ewenla Samuel, and an AIPMM Certified Product Manager. That's Association of International Product Management and Marketing. I'm also a lead product manager at Dashout, so I still work, right? Dashout Technologies is a logistics tech company in the US, Texas, US. And also I do coaching. I've been teaching things for a long time, even before coming to teach product management, right? And also the author of a very controversial title book. I remember my mentor saying, "How you call your book The Blood Money in Tech?" I don't know if anybody has probably come across the book, right? So I wrote a book called The Blood Money in Tech in 2021, talking about how one could discover the important parts that you need to take to thrive in the tech industry, right? Because again, just like I said, tech really started to pick off from COVID days in 2020. And so a lot of people are thinking about coming into the tech industry, but they didn't know how. So what I did was to sort of like simplify ideas. I think I focused on 7 most important steps that you need to take to be able to thrive in the tech industry, which is what I did in that book, right? So again, just generally, I think you can get that book for just giving like a general. It's not a long book, 100 pages roughly, give and take. Yes. So and I have a wide range of experience. Worked in health and wellness, worked in education, travel and tourism, and of course, right now I work in logistics, right, at Dashout. So fun fact, I'm a 6.4 inches tall person. For those that see me physically, right? So I think I'm more than 6.4 inches. Yeah, and yeah, I sing, I play the piano, sort of like lead like a music band by the side. I do that by the side. So that's just a brief introduction about myself. Yeah, that's the Blood Money in Tech book that I wrote. back in 2021, and that's my AIPMM certification from Association of International Product Marketing and Management. So what are we going to be discussing, right? I sort of like have like a list. I sort of streamline it into a list of things we're going to be talking about, right? What exactly is product management? Who is a product manager? Why is product management important for organizations? Career projection of a product manager over time. How much do product managers earn? And then we're also going to talk about how do you get started in product management right now, and then we're going to like questions and answers, right? And this is what we're going to be talking about. So just for those of us that are joining online, please, I want you to, again, like let's just say my church, keep distraction away from you. And then, you know, maybe get a pen, get a biro, use your pad, use your device or your laptop, or you're jotting down, and just be able to jot down some of these conversations and write. And I'm going to be sharing with you over the next, say, 40 minutes to 50 minutes, give and take. All right, so let's move on. So Blessing, just help me watch like chat box, just in case if there's like anything that I need to pay attention to. So starting a career in product management, right? What do you need to know? You know, like I said again, in the earlier days of 2017, 2018, it was not really defined. So obviously people are doing product management, but at that point in time it was still a very new career. So there was a lot of jama, more or less like everybody was just trying to figure out how to go about it. And then I think we started to have like better structures 2018, 2019, then majorly from 2020 really started to pick off very well. But if you go online right now and you type what exactly is product management, you're going to come across a plateau of different informations, and I'm sure it's going to be overwhelming. Right? You type what exactly is product management, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of them have probably different definitions, right? So I'm going to try to like break product management down, both from my personal experience, and I think I've sort of like tried to simplify these things into you know, to make it very simple for even those of us that are coming from like a very non-tech background and also, right? In understanding product management, we're going to break the words product and then management separately so that we sort of like have a feel of what this is individually. So again, I put this illustration here. So I want to again just, you know, for some of us, or maybe I should ask about people that are here with me, right? This image on the screen, what does this sort of like detect, or what does it depict to you? Let me start from TC Live. What does the image depict to you? Just looking at it. Any idea is fine. Any depiction is fine.
I feel like it looks like to me, it looks like a box with like I can't even figure out what is inside the box. It's just a box.
Okay, nice. Thank you for sharing. Mustafa, do you want to share something? What do you think this image depicts?
Probably like an idea.
Okay.
Someone's idea being okay.
Someone's idea really okay. Do you want to help us?
It's like
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Like someone opened the box and they found something there, like there's a light inside the box. And they like hearing a question. So it's like you're looking at the box, but you're not sure what's in the box.
Okay.
And then it has description by design, and then the umbrella part.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing. So again, different persons probably have different ideas around what's in the box, but I just use that to just start out this conversation, right? Talking about what is a product, right? And again, you know, it's very easy for us to just say, okay, let's start from like basic place that you can really find out some of these definitions, right? I said, and this is not from me, this is from Wikipedia. In marketing, the product is an object or a system made available for consumer use. And it is anything that can be offered to a market to satisfy the desire or need of a customer, right? And if you look at that definition, we have anything, again, bold. And then the second definition is from product plan. Product plan is a road mapping tool used for creating product roadmaps. Product plan says anything a business sells that solves a market problem and addresses a customer's need or desire is a product. And look at these two definitions. They are obviously from different bodies. One is a road mapping tool, the other is a general search body, right? And key thing from these two definitions is anything. So one of the first things I always do when I talk about what is a product is to demystify the fact that even though we product managers are popular in tech, it is not limited to tech. So I always want to start this first of all. I know many of us are probably thinking, oh, we're coming here, want to learn about coming into tech, but it is definitely not limited to tech. So meaning that, for example, I saw a post on Instagram that was posted now on our WhatsApp community that said you could find product managers in Chanel. Chanel is a fashion brand. They made mention of another brand like that. These are Mercedes-Benz, so you could find product managers working in this company, and these are not like core tech companies in particular. So just in case you have that misconception about product management and just limiting it to tech, right? Let's start from there. It is not limited to tech. So let's start from there, right? Meaning that you can, because a product is anything, right? As you can see from these definitions on the screen, a product is anything means that anything that can be offered to satisfy the desire or need of the customer is a product, regardless whether it is tech or non-tech. Now we know that, okay, generally product managers are more popular in the tech space. So generally you find product managers working in fintech, health tech, agri-tech, insurance tech, e-commerce, the different kind of tech, right? But it is not limited to tech. So just in case you have that misconception, let's start from there and sort of like breaking out that misconception. And I like to use a particular example, right, just to show you how much I mean by anything, right? I like to use a particular example just to show you how much I mean by anything. So I'm going to go to this particular website. This is let it load. Okay. This is a funeral hosting website. So it's called Sokna, right? And this is a product too. Sokna is Egypt's first end-to-end funeral service dedicated to providing blah, 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 all of that long story. But we can basically simplify this to say this is like a end-to-end funeral service that is being delivered with tech. So I'm just trying to use this to show you the extent of what product management can be, because there's a product manager that has worked with the team to build. Again, obviously, might probably have for this kind of product, because it's operations driven, there's a lot of things that's going to be happening on the ground, right, to make sure that their end-to-end funeral service is being delivered. But at the same time, in terms of like this particular tech solution, the website in particular, and how all of this has been built, right, to deliver services to their target users, there is a product manager in charge, right? Just to carry everybody along, has anybody seen something like this in Nigeria? Just again, maybe you might use the chat box. Yes, no, yes, no. Have you seen if a online services, funeral services that are being delivered, on the web like this? Type yes on the chat box. Let's see, every monitor adjust, right? See how that's coming on. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that it's going to be very rare to find somebody who has seen something like this. Yes. Oh, somebody says yes. Oh, interesting. Right, but it's not a very popular stuff, right? But I'm just using this to show you the extent of what I mean by end-to-end. So you're not limited to, for example, now in Nigeria, now one of the most popular places everybody want to work at is fintech. You hear Flutterwave, Paystack, PiggyVest, Carrywise, and then if you don't work in this fintech, you probably go to the bank tech session. Sorry about that, bank tech session. Maybe you work in the bank and you work in their tech team, or you work in their product team. Again, you might choose to work in any of those particular places, but at the same time, my point here is just it is not limited to tech, right? You can find product managers working in sports companies like Manchester United. I'm a Man U fan, so Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Barca, PSG. There are product managers working for them in terms of their products that are being delivered with technology. For example, Man U has an app, Chelsea has an app, Man U has a website, Chelsea has a website. You go to www.manchesterunited.com, you have access to something. Somebody or a team of product managers are working to ensure that that product is being delivered, right? So I'm just saying this because of also the misconception that many people have that product management is just limited to tech. It is not limited to tech. So, and I'm using this to go back to the point of about, saying what exactly is a product, right? Which is a product is anything. So when you have that point at the back of your mind that a product is anything that can be offered, right? And that means that it's easier for you to be very free at the back of your mind. You're not just limiting it to tech, because you can take product management ideas and add it to businesses, right? We had somebody that we trained way back in 2021, Esther. And I remember she came into the training with a very different mindset. I was very amazed at her mindset. She came into the training and she was like, she has a fashion business. She runs a fashion business, like very secluded fashion business. And she was like, she knew that she could take product management ideas and add it to her business. And then she came for the training for the purpose of just learning, not even to go and work as a tech company, but to use the ideas in building her business and saying, okay, how can she take the understanding of technology into fashion and then apply it in real time? And, you know, according to her, the last time we spoke last year, she was like, our business has grown double from 2021, taking the understanding from product management and putting it into our fashion business. You know, so she went from just doing maybe a fashion business in a basic Instagram page, you know, the way people probably do fashion these days, Instagram page, post some pictures, snap some pictures and all of that. And when it's, you know, building a website, building a tech solution, and you look for how do we now take that product in terms of the technology side of it, or using technology to enable and, you know, speed up the business. So have that at the back of your mind. A product is anything. Right. Now, what's management? Management is administration of an organization, whether it is business, non-profit, governments, you know, again, to simplify, art and science of managing resources. I think I prefer the second definition. It sounds more like it. Management is the coordination and administration of tasks to achieve a goal. So if you look at products, anything that can be offered, management, coordination and administration of tasks to achieve a goal, you start to see how things now come in. Now, when we now come to what is product management, now bringing it all together, I prefer to use a definition from AIPMM. I think that definition is more cohesive. It just brings it in the thousands of definitions you can find on the internet. I think this is way much more explicit, right? Product management is the process of conceiving, planning, developing, testing, launching, delivering, and withdrawing a product from the market. So it's like a 7-step process. So we call it like the 7-step product management process. Meaning that as a product manager, you are always typically going to be somewhere around the 7th step on the job, whether in a tech or in a non-tech environment. So you are either conceiving product ideas or generating product ideas. You are planning out product ideas. You are developing product ideas. In tech environment, this is when you start to work with your developers, your programmers, your engineers, designers. You know, you are developing product ideas. Then you move to testing, and this is where you bring in things like quality assurance. I think somebody said he or she is a quality assurance person on this call. Then we go to launching. Launching is when you take the product to the market. Then we go to delivering. Delivering is when you now start to ensure that people are using the product. And then withdrawing is when a product is no more being used by the target users. You take it off the market. And let me just try to, you know, in a summary, sort of like break down each of these 7 steps, right? Conceiving, planning, developing, testing, launching, delivering, and withdrawing. So what's conceiving? Conceiving is more or less like just conceive, right? Like a woman giving birth to a baby, more or less like, right? That's you generating ideas. So product managers, one of the first places that we start from as product managers, let me say in a tech environment or when you want to use technology, one of the places we start from is saying, how do we generate what idea is viable or what is not viable? Should we build a website? Should we build a software as a service? Should we build a web app? Should we build a mobile app? What are we doing, right? That's conceiving of ideas. And in this process of conceiving ideas, you would also be asking questions around why are we even doing it? What exactly do we want to build? How is it going to work? For whom is it going to work? What are the target users? What problem do we want to solve? And this is all the parts of conceiving ideas. So typically, again, in the tech environment, you know, at the tech company, we typically have what we call brainstorming sessions. We have ideation sessions. So if you work in a very core tech environment, there's always where people sit down in a boardroom environment like this and they just brainstorm ideas. Somebody's jotting down, somebody's writing down, you know, the ideas have been recorded. And then product managers go back to those recordings and just sit down and sort of like, which idea is important, which is not important, which is workable, which is not workable, which is practical, which is not practical. So, you know, in a very simple format, that's like conceiving. And as a product manager, and product managers are always in the face of conceiving. So for example, now on this Google Meet call, just yesterday, right? I was on a call and I saw this emoji feature on Google Meet, right? This emoji feature on Google Meet. So if you're on your laptop, right? I don't know if it's on. Is it on mobile? Listen, is it on mobile? It's on mobile. Oh, interesting. I've not seen it on mobile yet, but so if you're on your laptop or your mobile right now and you have maybe the updated version, yeah, just use the emoji just to show you. Again, this is you can use the emoji in the chat box on your Google meeting. Okay, I can see David. I can see Gladys, Blessing, David, Gladys. So again, this was just an update that I personally saw yesterday. Though somebody was telling me that they had seen this since last week or so, right? But I personally saw it yesterday, and it was interesting to see. Now, this might not be a major thing that is going to influence your usage of Google Meets, but however, it's an idea, right? It's going to make meetings a little bit less like a meeting because now we can just it will be too official because even this everybody's trying to reduce the official setup, right? So it reduces that official thing and just makes meeting a lot more relaxing. Being able to train an emoji there, train an emoji left, right, and center. That's somebody sat down or a team sat down and said, okay, how can we further improve the experience of Google Meet? Right. So that's why you see applications that you use, they are always being updated. I don't know if WhatsApp has updated WhatsApp. Has anybody updated their WhatsApp this year? Anybody? Yeah. Every day WhatsApp. That means WhatsApp has done a new update. Right. The team has again sat down and said, what can we improve? That's idea generation or conceiving. Right. So typically, it's some companies might call it brainstorming session, some companies might call it ideation session. But generally in a product team, either consisting of product managers or the entire tech team together, there's generally that conception of ideas that you're going to do regularly as a product manager. The second step process is planning. So from conceiving your ideas, you go into planning. Planning is now, okay, you start to now document the ideas. Typically, product managers write what we call product requirement documents. Again, in a tech environment, to be precise, right? Because if you're in a non-tech environment, I've not really worked in a non-tech environment like that. So I don't know what sort of documentation, but I know they're going to write in documents, right? But in a core tech environment, we call it PRDs, right? But most likely it's going to be PRDs in a non-tech environment. In a place like Channel, they might have a way they're writing their PRDs that is different from maybe we do it in a core tech space, right? But when you're building something technology related, software or hardware, we're going to write PRDs, right? And some of us might have come across this information in terms of writing product requirement documents, right? So all of that is just to sort of like flesh out your ideas, like put it into writing and planning to be able to help the entire team or the stakeholders that are involved in that particular product idea flesh out the idea, right? From that step, from planning, we go into developing. This is now when you now start to do the core coding and building, right? And in this developing phase, this is where you now start to work with designers, developers, data analysts. In a core tech environment, you start to work with this set of persons, your product or UI UX designers, data analysts, software engineers. This is where you start to work with them. So generally, before a product is built, right, especially a tech product, you can see that product managers have done conceiving planning, right? And then before we now come into the core tech team, where you now have developers and designers working together. From that development side, we go into testing. Again, one thing that is very important in the tech world today is testing. And that's why there's a role for it, typically called quality assurance. Some people call them QA engineers. Some people call them QA analysts. Again, you have different names, but QA means quality assurance. So basically, there's a role that is specifically designed for testing product ideas, right? So when a product has been developed by your engineers, your developers, QA guys come in and just test, right? Your job as a product manager is to work with the QA guy and say, oh, QA team, what's happening? Is the app functioning? Is every link working? Is it clickable? Is it taking the user to where it's meant to take the user? Is it carrying the user to the destination that you're expecting the user to get to? These are all things that you do with the QA person, right? And then from testing, when the product is perfected, the next step is to launch. Launch is now you take the product to market, right? And launching, quote and unquote, is marketing. But marketing in product management is not conventional marketing, right? Especially when it comes to tech, because that's one mistake people feel. Right, marketing in product management is not the same marketing as, oh, I used to say come and buy, come and buy. Marketing, that's kind of marketing, come and buy, come and buy, come and buy. Right, but marketing in tech is build brand awareness, get them to start to use the product. So as a product manager now, you're not like the marketing person. but you're going to work with the marketing people, right? Even though there are product manager roles that is called product marketing managers now, where these guys are like specialists. They are product managers will have like a specialty in marketing, right? So majorly launching your product is a thing. You can, even if you bake the sweetest sliced bread, if you do not tell people to go and buy, nobody's going to go and buy it now. People have to see that this thing is going to be used, right? So your job as a product manager is to liaise with the marketing team and say, how do we ensure that this product that we have built, people get to know about it? So typically, you're going to work alongside the marketing team, or in a company that has a PMM, product marketing manager, you work alongside the PMM, right? Now, the next step is delivering. Delivering is now when people start to use your product, which is, I always say that is like the most important part of product management, especially in tech. Because our mobile phones, I'm sure everybody knows, people's attention span is very low these days, right? If you build mobile applications or websites, if you do not make them solid enough, even if you have built the next best thing to sliced bread, if it's not solid enough, people are not going to use it consistently. So the most important thing for software products in particular, especially ones on mobile that people can carry on their hands, which is where the world is generally going to. Everybody's building mobile applications, a form of a mobile product and all of that. If you don't make your product built in a way that people can use it consistently and repeatedly, which is delivering, right, then you're going to have issues, because no matter how great whatever it is that you have built, if it is not properly delivered and people don't use it consistently, then long story short, it's more like a waste of time. And I'm sure everybody has probably downloaded one or two apps that you eventually deleted. You didn't just find a use. You didn't just click somewhere. You downloaded it. Maybe it was exciting to download in the beginning, and then for some reasons or so, you just felt like, oh, this is not working, and you just it's taking space. My memory is almost full, right? And then you just delete it up. And these days, where most of our devices now don't have external memory, you're left with your 128 gig or 256 gig space, right? So you got to delete the app, right? So I'm sure everybody has probably come across something like that, where you downloaded a product, but for some reasons it just didn't click. Something was just off somewhere, right? And it's not you specifically. Many times it's how it has been built, right? Which is where we'll now talk about user experience design, right? It's part of the conversation that product managers are going to have, talking about how do you build a product that has a great UX that keeps people coming back to that product, especially when it comes to mobile in particular. Mobile in particular is very important, because people are carrying your product on the go, meaning that they can use it anywhere in the world, which is why companies that are building mobile products are popular. Google, Apple. Let's even leave Google and Apple. Let's bring it to Nigeria, right? I've made mention of some of them, right? If I even want to leave the fintech space and go into things like health tech, you can talk about Health Tracker. You can talk about products like Eden Life. These are products that are built on the ground here in Nigeria, out of here, and these guys are delivering these products out of here. So that's delivering. Delivering is ensuring that people use your product, which is also part of the product manager's duty. And then finally, withdrawing. This is one that nobody really talks about a lot, but it's possible for you to be the product that nobody uses. And it's not because you're a bad person. There are a number of factors that can influence that, right? There are a number of factors. I've viewed the product that nobody really used, right? So just looking back at that experience, we built that website. It was a website solution, right? And we're trying to deliver that solution to a specific target market that we had focused on. But I'll say fortunately and unfortunately, it really didn't work. And so we just felt, instead of just trying to be pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, why not just take it down? Let's just let it go. Like this one, put it low, it has gone, right? So let's just take it away. This is not working. No matter, we'll move, right? We don't have to stay. We don't have to keep ourselves locked up on it. We just let it go. It's a hard decision to make. I think it's one of those hard decisions that every product manager will probably find themselves making. It doesn't mean you have done your job bad or you have not done your job well. I think it just means that either there was a mistake somewhere. But it's just possible that you have done something wrong somewhere. Again, just to chip that thing, right? But being able to take that decision of taking a product down and not taking chances is a big deal. So again, these are 7 steps. So typically, you find a product manager in one of these 7 steps on the job. Typically, you're either in the conceiving phase, you're in the planning phase, developing, testing, launching, delivering, and withdrawing a product from the market. You're either going to be in one of these phases throughout the life cycle of the product, right? So it's like an end-to-end process of building and managing a product. So let's move on forward. Now, in building and managing the product, what's like the most important thing for you as a product manager? And I think this is where every product manager really needs to focus on the most, right? In building and managing a product, the goal is to ensure that your product is valuable, feasible, usable, and viable. That's the only way that product is going to be successful in the marketplace, right? Valuable, feasible, usable, and viable, right? So what's valuable? Valuable meaning that you must build a product that solves a need. It is non-negotiable, especially when it comes to tech solutions. In today's world, people are so overly crazy about tech solutions, right? Everybody's trying to build something innovative, something creative, something techy. And they tend to forget that this your tech solution must meet a need, right? It must meet a need. So for example, now we're using this smart TV here and it is solving a need in a way. What problem is this smart TV solving? Back in the days, you probably have to connect HDMI, connect a wire, blah, blah, blah to this computer and all of that. But now I can just be able to do like a screen mirror from my laptop to the TV without a single wire. Makes the entire thing a lot more easier for presentations. Meaning that I can even leave this room and still be presenting maybe in the other room. And people here are going to see what is being shown. That is a technology that has a purpose. So there's a tendency to get in the cloud, quote and unquote, in the world of we're trying to build a solution, we're trying to build a tech, we're going to, people can say, oh, let's build a way to send money from Nigeria to South Africa, sharp, sharp. It sounds exciting, but the question is, what is the need on ground? Is there a reason that people are going to consistently and continuously use it? Because many times people forget that when people are building solutions, either product managers or maybe the founders of the organization or the CEOs, they can tend to forget that your solutions need to be used consistently. They might just look at it from one point. So for example, I can use an example of, say, today now we're talking about AI, artificial intelligence. I don't know if anybody has said about chat, GPT and all of that, right? But let's go to the world of Facebook in particular. Facebook is now Meta, and they're trying to pursue metaverse. Let me just get a wake-up call. Has anybody here checked their Facebook in recent times? Have you checked your Facebook in recent times? When last did you check your Facebook? You can't remember. What about you? Okay, it's linked to your Instagram and stuff, right? You don't have a Facebook account. So, and if I ask for those that are joining us online, when last have you used your Facebook? Right? When last have you used your Facebook? Let me know in the chat box. When last have you used your Facebook account? Anybody? I want to bring out a conversation from here just to use Facebook since Facebook is very popular. If you are hearing me in the chat box, okay, Wale used his Facebook account yesterday. Today, okay, we have some Facebook people in the house. Farouk last week. Tolu Animi say I hardly use it. Gladys said I can't even remember. Okay, when last did you use your Facebook? So, I'm just dropping the chat box today. Okay, so, if you bring out 10, 20 persons, there's a tendency you find that probably half of them really don't use their Facebook anymore, right? But again, I'm not here to say whether Facebook is doing good or doing bad, right? But I'm here to say something about solving a need, right? When Facebook first came about, it was about solving a need. But for some reasons, Facebook is now more focused on the metaverse. They seem to be pursuing the world of artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality. And so for some reason, it feels like as if Facebook as a product is somewhat neglected, right? So it seems to have lost its core identity or sort. And we can see the impact. For some reasons, all of us maybe not all of us, but some of us just sort of like reduce our usage. Even for those who are still using Facebook right now, I doubt you are using it the way you used to use it maybe 5-10 years ago. I remember when I opened Facebook in 2010, it was like a thing, right? And everybody was on Facebook and everybody was trying to connect and you make friends. I had one of my cousins that traveled out. Back those times, I was using it to keep in touch. But now, WhatsApp is a lot more faster, right? Even though Facebook is doing now WhatsApp. So, Facebook bought WhatsApp and all of that. But Facebook as a product in itself is like product in itself. That's Facebook app and Facebook website and all seem to have digressed from solving a need. And so it just seemed like all of us, some of us are also moving away from it. And that's what's going to happen to your product if it's not solving a need. Your product is not solving a need, people will just naturally drift. They're not going to stay, right? So at the foundation of every product is solving a need or solving a problem. And you must continually solve a need because
competition.
maybe not even competition is part of it, but because human beings, all of us are changing. So for example, now the things that you need in 2020, I'm sure that your needs are probably changed. Maybe not exactly, maybe not totally, but I'm sure your needs have somewhat changed way back from 2020, right? There are things that you might want in 2020, but this is 2023. Maybe for example, say maybe you are using an iPhone 8 in 2020, but now this is 2023, there's iPhone 14, right? And your needs are like, iPhone 8, how like using iPhone 8 in 2023? At least if I don't buy 14, I'll buy 13 Pro or 13 Pro Max or something, right? So your needs have changed. Apple has to keep upgrading to suit people's changing needs. Some of us might say, or some people will say, and I'm also part of the people that said, what's the difference between 13 and 14? In my mind, I was like, when they launched, yeah, I know there is difference. Like, I spoke to somebody, there's no difference. But if you check 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max compared to 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max,
just do this to all of us. Just do this to all of us.
I think there are some difference. It's just not just as major. Oh god. Anyways, so but yeah, a product has to continually solve a need. It has to continue to solve a need, right? It's so important, and that's why product managers are also important. So just because you have built a product, another misconception about product management is that you are there to just get product built, but it's beyond getting product built, right? I always say product management is more about getting product used, especially when it comes to like tech solutions in particular, right? So that's for valuable. Feasible, meaning that your product can be easily built. This is where the old technical stuff starts to come in, right? How do you work with engineers? How do you work with designers? How do you go about what you do, working with your team, especially in a tech environment, project management in tech, software development in tech. And these are some of the things that, again, you're not meant, as a product manager, you're not meant to be the expert of how to get product built, because you're not going to be learning how to code. Product managers don't code, right? We do more of a strategy role for the team. So we don't code, except a product manager role that is called technical product manager, right? So but generally, feasibility in the sense that you can easily build our product, and you can also easily maintain. So there's things we call technical debt when it comes to managing software products, right? How do you maintain that product? We talk about things like data centers, back-end infrastructures, and stuff. How do you maintain all of these things as a whole, which is also part of the major goal for you as a product manager. Now, usable is saying, meaning a product is easy to use, right? Again, we all know in today's world, nobody wants to. You can't download the product now. Let's not even say download it. You can't even go on the website. If the moment you start to struggle finding your way around, you start to feel stress, even if you are very patient. The moment you start to struggle, 10, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, you'll be like, it's just like all of us, our mental model is just gonna be like, why am I not seeing this thing? What's happening? And so one of our major conversations as product managers, especially when it comes to like building tech solutions, is how can we ensure that whatever we have built is easy for people to use? And this way we start talking about user experience. So for example, in the world of hardware technology now, if you use maybe a Samsung Galaxy Watch or an Apple Watch, there are any type of series, for example, when I saw the Series 8 when it was launched last year, I was like, how is this possible to do this thing? But then I understand that they have also talked about the user experience and then look into it and say, okay, how can we ensure that if somebody wears this watch, is able to measure the person's heart rate, is able to measure the person's, how many steps have you walked? It's a technology. Obviously, as a product manager, you don't know the intricacies of what's working in terms of like back-end infrastructure, right? But a product manager is important there to ensure that all that technology is human. So human in the sense that somebody can wear an Apple Watch and people look at the watch and say, oh, I am so and so, and the watch is able to calculate and say, oh, you have gone 150 steps, you have walked this number of steps, this is your heart rate, this is your heartbeat, and so on and so forth like that, right? And it has to continue for people to be easy to use, because people who are buying it, they are not necessarily maybe the most tech savvy persons. They are just, everybody persons like you and I. If the moment the watch is hard for them to navigate and they just like, oh, let me do this, it becomes a problem, right? And if you use Apple device, generally that Apple is big on user experience. User experience is a big thing.
I don't come with manual.
Yeah, I don't see come to but do you really read manual? Does anybody really read manual? You read manual, like details.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what about a generator? What about a bed I use?
Blender.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Hey, if you are joining us online, just type in the chat box. Do you used to read manuals?
I think the only thing you probably need to read a manual is maybe if you get a car. Because aside you starting it and you can move it around, maybe like some other features
in the car. Maybe the car is more of these modern cars that have maybe a touch tab and all of that.
Like an eye opening to what
I think for every electronic I buy, I read one.
wow.
That's interesting. Eh?
I think I'm one of those people that don't care about
I go through the manual, right? But I don't really I don't read deep. I just flip.
I'm confused.
Eh,
I just go to manual, read it first. They not lay it out.
And then I'll try to. Okay, some people say I reading manuals. No, I rarely do. Yes, I do. I just skim through it. Me and Tolu and Nimi are in the same team. I just glance through and just okay, let me just see. I'll more specific. I'll go to areas I feel that I'm going to have confusion. I'll just jump to those ones and just focus on those ones. Right. Hadibola said, especially for phones, I never read the manual. Right. So these days we hardly ever read manuals. So meaning that product must be built for people to easily use. Right? Whether you're building hardware like your smartphones, your watch, your smartwatches, your computer, or you're building software like websites, mobile applications, software as a service, nobody needs manual to read your product. So you must be thinking about the usability. We call it usability of that product. How easy to use. And in this place, when you think about usability, you're working closely with your designers, because designers are the ones that design the interface that users can see. Right. So product managers have to be very good with thinking about user experience and then working closely with their designers to interpret those experiences on a visual context. Right. So that's that for usability. And then finally, viable. This is one that people don't talk about a lot. When people talk about product management, they're saying build tech product. Why are they building tech product? It's not to make money. Nobody is doing charity now. At the end of the day, no company is in business to do charity. They are in business to make money, except you're working for an NGO, right? They are in business to make money. And so there is this word about, people don't talk about how making profits is a thing in tech, right? But we all know that tech companies are making money. They are making money. They are making a lot of money, right? Flutterwave is a unicorn, $1 billion worth company. Paystack has been bought by Stripe for $200 million way back in 2020. So, they're making a lot of money. And product managers have to be like business people, right? At some point. Obviously, you don't have to be all business. If you're all business, you're going to miss the point. But you have to have that sort of like business skill set, which is why, again, if you remember my first definition, I say product is anything, right? So it means that you can apply ideas from product management even into conventional businesses. You sell shoes, you sell bags, you sell smartphones, you sell jewels and stuff. You can literally apply the ideas. So, but to bring all of this to a wrap, in building and managing a product, right? Your job at the end of the day is to ensure that you build a product that is valuable, a product that is feasible, a product that is usable, and a product that is valuable. And this is like a measurement yardstick to say that you have done a good job as a product manager, right? Whether you are building a tech solution or a non-tech solution, right? It's a measurement to say I am doing a good job as a product manager. Okay, so yes, Toluwalope, yes, we'll be getting the recording. So now let's go to who is a product manager in terms of actual definition, right? What's a product manager? What do you do as a product manager? Our job as product managers is to discover, manage the development and delivery of a product. So this discover, develop and deliver You can literally, it comes out from the 7-step product management process we talked about earlier: conceiving, planning, developing, testing, launching, delivering, and withdrawing, right? So our job is to say, we discover products. Again, like I've said, that involves conceiving, planning. Then we get those products built. We work with the engineers, developers to get those products built. Then we deliver the product, meaning that people get to use whatever it is that we have built, right? Which is, again, it's an end-to-end step, right? So discover what should be built, develop how should it be built, deliver how should we ensure that whatever we have built works effectively for people, right? And I like to say consistently, because I product managers, you have to also be looking short-term and long-term, right? Short-term, 1 year. We start to look long-term, 3-5 years down the line, and say, how do we ensure that with the changing needs of people? One of our biggest challenges as product managers is people's changing needs. Meaning that all of us, our needs are changing, right? For example, now, probably if you have been using WhatsApp in the earlier days, WhatsApp has evolved, right? From 2012, 2015, 2018, 2020. Now we have a broader WhatsApp. Now in WhatsApp, you can make, I think 16 people can, or 8 people can do a video call straight away. I'm suspecting that WhatsApp is probably going to build a feature in the future that has to do with sharing of screen. I just have a feeling like I have a feeling that they might do something like that, where they're going to allow you to share your screen on your WhatsApp, right? And you can be able to do what we're having now. You will be able to do it on your WhatsApp video call, and you can share your screen and stuff like that, right? So that is then evolving the product over time, right? If they did not evolve WhatsApp, WhatsApp would have probably gone. Just the way, who was on to go? To go 2007, 2008, 2009, to go fans in the house. What was your, can I even remember my name? I can't even remember my name or to go. And then
my name was Vera. Vera 213.
If you want to go back in the days, where I type in the chat section, let's see who was on to go. Somebody say extreme focus. To go people who will know them. What's that thing that they used to get on to go? Say, is it star sign that you become? Is it amateur, eh? Right.
I never had to go, but my younger brother was and he was like, he used to steal my phone just to get to
ranking.
I can't even remember what
it has to be like, I think the more you use, you go from amateur to something. Yes. So when somebody is like maybe a master on to go, and then somebody who is an amateur, they'll be like, this person is your guy at the top. Right? But somebody asked me a question and said, why did to go up the market? And I would say that it's because they didn't really evolve. By the time WhatsApp came up, WhatsApp was much more mobile. To go, you had to download.
Was it WhatsApp that changed to go on Facebook?
I think it was a mixture of both. WhatsApp was more hands-on. Yeah. So WhatsApp was more hands-on. To go, you had to, there was a lot of things that was happening. And then WhatsApp had like a lot more simpler UX. Right? It was much more simple to just, more user-friendly. To go had a lot of, you enter one place, you enter one place. Yeah, over time. Right.
I saw it, but I didn't get. And then the emojis were looking funny. So I don't really like it.
Right. See, so but WhatsApp built a much more simpler experience. Oh, MySpace. I never really even used MySpace. That was I just knew it. Right. So oh yeah, BBM also. BBM also. Yeah, BBM was a little bit better than. BBM was also part of the thing.
BBM and to go.
Right.
I think Yahoo chat changed out.
Yeah.
When you have on your Yahoo mail, it had a chat.
Yeah.
Then you start, and then there was
BBM was
using he was hot to me. It was hot to me, right? So people started going from Yahoo to Hotmail and all of that. So yeah.
Right.
There was no mobile like this. I was going to
cafe.
And you know that if feature of BDM now is on Instagram. That thing that you have that feature thing on Instagram that you can type what is on your mind.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
It's not on Instagram.
So it's not like a status kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's not status. It's not like the round status. Yeah, it's not that one. It's not another one.
What's
It's not another picture. I don't find it. I don't find that one.
It's like a BDM feature. That's
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right. So you see, from all of this conversation, you can see that all of these products are evolving. So if a product does not evolve, especially with user changing needs, people will move on. So user changing needs is one of like the biggest challenges, and all of us as users, myself, yourself, we are complicated. Right? So all of us are complicated, right? We would like something today. For example, I remember before I started using a MacBook, I'd be like, why would I buy a MacBook? Why would I spend this kind of money to buy a MacBook? Why would I spend this money to buy a MacBook when I can buy an HP for half the price and it's and collect change? Right. So by the time I got a MacBook, I'm like, oh man, I can't go to the other, I can't go to Windows. Right. Right. So but yeah, people change, right? I was like, oh, I would never use a MacBook because it was too expensive and all of that. But then I got it one time. I'm like, no, I'm not going back anywhere.
I'm charging my AirPod when it's on live. I still went back to get an AirPod. Right.
Interesting.
It was convenient.
Right. So people's needs are changing, and I think that's one of our biggest challenges as product managers. And I think it's also one of the interesting part of product management, meaning that you have to be following up with trends, following up with what's happening around. So, for example, now one of the trends that's happening around now that product managers need to be consistent of is AI. You have to think about artificial intelligence and saying, how is this going to impact my product? So if you're in the banking sector, you have to be asking yourself, how are they going to build AI that's going to impact what we do in the banking sector? How are they going to build AI that is going to impact what we do in the fintech or what we do in the health tech? And you have to start thinking about all of these things because it's part of the thing that's going to change. Already it's changing how we do things in the world today, So yeah, ChatGPT is even like it's the introduction. With the way AI is growing, there's a lot of things that is going to come up out of it, right? And I also feel like, for example, now some of the product management tools that we use, things like product route plan, things like Jira, with the way AI is going, they are probably going to automate those things.
Yeah.
You won't be doing those practical, for example, now as a product manager now, I'll go on product plan, I'll draw my roadmaps, craft it out, and do all of these things. With the way AI is going, I have a sense that they will just want you to be automated.
That's not going to be bad at the end of the day. That means there will be like no need for product management.
So now the thing now is that because our role is more of a strategic role, right? Anything that is not less of a strategy role, most likely AI is probably going to build it. So for example, now in the early days of product management, we used to do calculations and we did mathematics calculations and stuff. But now we have analytic tools like Google Analytics, like Mixpanel, like Amplitude, Pendo. There are so many of them right now that they do all your analytics for you. Yours is just to go on your dashboard. For example, I have one here. I just go on my dashboard and I just start to track the data. How many users do we have? How many one do we have? What are they doing? Where are they going? How are they spending? Without having to, it was back in the days, you have to be doing it manually, looking at your spreadsheet, your Excel sheets or Google sheet and start to track. But now with analytic tools like this, you can see acquisition, engagement, you can see monetization, you can see landing page, you can see in-app purchase, you can see a lot of things with these things. And this one is AI. Nobody is managing this. Just Google has built this as an analytic tool that you just sit down and start to track. So it's one of the reasons I think I said something last year that product managers will have to even build more of their strategy skill sets than even their like the hands-on skill set. Obviously, you still have to learn it. Some organizations are still moving, we are still doing things in a manual sense. You see your calculation, your metrics calculation, you still type your numbers and say, we have 10,000 users, 5,000 of them went to this place, 2,000 of them went to that place, they clicked this, they did that, We still do some manual stuff. But at the end of the day, more of your work is going to be more of a strategy-driven role, right? So just to break down some definitions I think are really core about who a product manager is. I think one is you're an advocate for the user. Typically in a tech environment, CEO is thinking about business. Marketing is thinking about marketing. Sales is thinking about sales. Engineers are thinking about engineering. Designers are thinking about design. Really, nobody's thinking about the user. And that's why we are important. That's why product managers are important, especially in tech companies, right? Because generally, other people are thinking about other different roles, right? But the product manager is the person that is like the expert that is meant to think about the user. Meaning that whoever we are building this product for, you as a product manager or part of the product managers, you are thinking about saying, these customers or these people who are going to use this app or use this solution or use this software as a service, what are their needs? What are their changing needs? What do we need to do? And how do I ensure that whatever we are going to be building is going to work for them? Right? Because leave the technical guys think about the engineering, design guys think about design, marketing think about marketing. And that's why product managers work cross-functionally. Right? So a product manager does not work alone. You're working with always a round spectrum of persons, depending on how big the organization is. If it's a small startup, you might probably have 6, 7, 8-person team. If it's a larger organization, find yourself in a more 100, 200, 500-person organization, means that you're working multiple cross-functional teams, depending on how the organization is structured. But at the end of the day, your job majorly is to ensure that users get value from whatever the company is delivering. Secondly, is product managers will provide insight and direction to help companies achieve business value. This is so important. I can't remember where I saw that statistics, but one thing I know is that I know my impact in my company. I can say this is what I have been able to do, especially because I'm the lead product manager. So I'm able to say, I know where we started from, I know where we are, I know that I have been able to play a big impact. And it's one of the reasons why product managers are well paid, because you can see your impact directly. I used to say that product management in a way it can be likened to like a sales role in a way, because it's result driven. You can see if you build an app and nobody uses it, they know that you are my mom would say you're a pack rumor person. Right? You're not gelling. Right? If you build a website and nobody's going to, it means you're not gelling. Something is missing somewhere. It's not about whether you like talk or the talk in the word. People are not using your website. It means that there's a problem. It's very simple. It's very result oriented. So it means that product managers can influence organization. Somebody said, I can't remember the name of the person now. It's a senior PM. It was like, product managers have the tendency to increase a business value by a whopping 900% over time. I mean, that business can go from 0 to 900% in growth over time, right? With a solid product team, especially when it's a technology business. So that's why our impact is really great on the role. Right? It means that companies need people who understand the job, because the job is very straightforward. You build a solution, nobody uses it, you're whack. You build a solution, people use it minimally, means that you have work to do. You build a solution people use well, you deserve a round of applause. You build a solution that scales, you're a baller. Right? So, and it's easy for you to be able to also command your words, which is what comes with product management. You can be able to say, I want to earn so and so amount of money. Right? Especially when you get that more experience as you go, you can be able to command your work and say, this is how much I want it. Because you know that, I have been able to take the company from point A to point B. Right? And that's why you typically find product managers, especially those that have experience, many times they have flexibility, a lot of flexibility. Right? So for example, now I work remotely. I've worked remotely since 2021. Right? I've never stepped into an office building. Right? So it's fun. I have that flexibility. I have that opportunity so I can work within my own time, even though I work with a different time schedule. But at the same time, there's just that flexibility because I'm able to work remotely. It gives me, for example, now if I have to jump into a work call, I can jump into that work call here. If I'm going somewhere and jump into that work call, it doesn't really stop what I'm doing. So which, as you grow along the career path, you can get that flexibility that comes with it because it's a role that you are able to drive business value. This is also one thing a lot of people don't talk about. When you go search about product management on the internet, there's so many information, like a lot, but they don't talk about what matters, which is one of the things I'm going to focus on before we round up. So finally, a product manager is one that understands technology and how to use it effectively, meaning that you have to understand how technology works, because many of what we're going to be doing going forward, even though I've said product management is not limited to tech, but at the same time, with the way the world is going, we all know technology is going to influence a lot of things. I'm sure Channel is using technology in one way or the other, and they will need product managers that enforce or ensure that that technology aspect of it is being worked on. So again, I've come across this diagram. Generally, you see product managers in the middle of UX is user experience, tech, and then business. So as product managers, we are more or less like bringing these three things together in a tech organization, right? User experience is a big deal. You're working with the design team. Design team are majorly in charge of UX. Tech guys, developers, software engineers. Business, you work with the business team, right? And you're like in that middle. So it means that you have to have an idea about UX, have an idea about tech, have an idea about business, so that you're able to do your job more holistically. So again, I simplify why is product management important for organizations, right? Why is product management important for organizations, which I'm going to simplify. It's just very simple. Again, I can expand these points, but I think it's just limited to this. You can literally bring it down to this. Product management is important to solve problems and deliver value. Again, open bracket, close brackets with technology, because again, technology is going to evolve a lot of things, but we're here to solve problems and deliver value with technology to customers while helping organizations achieve their business objectives. So our job, right, is to say that we are building a solution with technology to ensure that problems are solved for people who are going to use that particular tech solution. Value is being gotten, right? And at the same time, we're helping these organizations achieve their business objectives, right? So fundamentally, this is why it's important. And like we all know, tech, everything is now being influenced by some form of technology or the other. So it means that organizations need to have people who have that skill set to solve problems, deliver value consistently also, while at the same time still ensuring that the businesses achieve their objectives, right? So this is why product management is important to organizations. I can begin to expand this point and take it left, right, and center and all of that, but fundamentally, at the end of the day, it always comes down back to this. Build a solution that solves problem and continues to solve problem and continues to deliver value, even though your users are evolving and changing and all of that. And then ensure that the organizations are achieving their business objectives. For example, I saw a different variation of Indomie. I don't know if you see this. Indomie has this new variations now, that one that is jollof, one that has crayfish and all of that. In a way, they might not call it a product manager, but that's a product manager. Somebody's doing that job of sort of evolving Indomie's product. Because if they are just that same Indomie that we first had in 2012, they would have gone, they would have been a goner. But what have they done? We have come from small Indomie to hungry man to Belefu, even though they are just, I don't want to say they are scamming us, because like I think it's becoming smaller. Because hungry man in those days would be like a big deal. When hungry man is like a normal noodles. And then the Belefu is just looking like as if it's a spaghetti. Right? So, but somebody is evolving those products. If not, Indomie would have probably gone out of it. They are evolving it to suit our change. Right? Now, today we have different flavors. We have jollof Indomie, crayfish Indomie. There are so many flavors like that, which is sort of like in a work, what product managers do. You keep evolving the product so that the product continues to be relevant. Because if not, people are going to move. All of us, even no matter how we like it, we're always going to just move one way or the other, right? So what's like a career projection of a product manager when we understand, okay, this is what product managers are, this is what we do. We have talked about what product managers are, what we do and all of that. What's like a career projection in terms of your career and what you can become as a PM? So typically, you start out maybe as an associate, but not these days. I don't think people are hiring associates like that. It's maybe companies that are doing associate programs or internship programs directly, right? But people generally start from a product manager role. Generally, you start from a PM role. And then you typically work 3-5 years, give and take, on an average, and you can move to a senior PM role, right? So a senior PM is more or less like a product manager that works with other product managers. Right, so more or less like a product manager team lead. Some people call it senior PM, some people call it lead product manager, some people call it product lead. Again, you hear different ascription to it, right? So typically 3 to 5 years, you can move from a product manager to a senior PM where you are leading a team of other product managers, right? From senior PM, we go to director of product. Director of product is more large scale, meaning that some people call it director of product, some people call it head of product. So for example, the head of product at Paystar, Khadija Abu, she is leading the entire paystack product across Africa, right? So not just Nigeria, we're talking about Nigeria, Kenya. I think there are like 4 African countries, right? So every of paystack's product working in all of those countries, she's in charge of ensuring that everything is working fine. So that means she's going to be working alongside a senior PM who is going to be leading product managers, right? And then we move to like VP of product. VP of product is now when you start to manage product at like a continental level. So typically, you will not see VP of product role in a small company. Obviously, you'll be looking at it. VP of products, you find it in companies at the league of like Google, Apple, Facebook. Like where you find VP of product role. So when you see VP of product, they are generally the entire. So you see things like at Facebook now, they'll have VP of product for Africa. So this is vice president of product for the whole Facebook products that is happening in Africa. You have VP of product for Europe, VP of product for Asia, VP of product for North America, South America, and things like that. And then the pick is chief product officer. From chief product officer, you're in the C-level executive role, more or less like the CEO role, right? And then generally you can go from there to becoming a CEO. So for example, the current CEO of Alphabet, which is like the group company of Google, was a product manager at Google in 2005. He was one that built Google Chrome, right? And then 15 years later, he became a CEO of Google, right? He built Google Chrome, led Google Chrome adoption. What's his name? Sundar Pichai or something, an Indian man, right? So, and same thing with Yahoo Mail. The former CEO of Yahoo Mail was a product manager at Yahoo Mail 10, 15 years back, right? But then she stayed and then graduated a rank all the way to becoming a CEO of the organization. So it means that our career peak, if you want to push, 10, 15 years down the line, as you keep evolving, building products, you get to that point where you can become the CEO of the entire organization, because our work is very business driven and very strategy driven. Do you understand? Right. So that's like typical product manager career path. And you can get this role 10, 15 years of, again, quote and unquote, I would say impactful career, because you can just be working and not be impactful, right? So
you can be in a company where they don't
push you forward, promote people. That's also.
But like you said, if you're a product manager, what you did is what everybody will see. So you don't even need to do so much of
talking. You don't need to talk. So
some companies are like, even if you do the job and
they
will not promote you.
But in tech, no, that's like
contemporary work. In tech, it doesn't work like that way. It doesn't work that way in tech, right?
And
so,
I thought you said, because I'm coming from, I work in the bank, and I know how it is when it comes to promotion. Especially when you're in operations, you have to be like, the doing I said this to you all that.
Oh God, it doesn't.
But in marketing, they see the number of accounts you're bringing.
Yeah, the result is obvious.
You're bringing. So if you tell them I'm leaving, they don't care. She's carrying all these customers.
To another bank. So that's the thing. Right. So it's a very result-driven rule. So you don't even need to shout too much. You just show the results, right? And even if you're leaving a company and going to another company, I want to collect a higher salary. This is my result. I have built some product. I was involved in building some product. We got 50,000 users. The company made $1 million every month. I will report you. They can see the results. So it's just for you to position your result, and then the rest is always easier to go from there. So it's a very result-driven role. So how much do product managers earn? Generally, your prior experience before product management is going to play a very big role in how much you can start to earn. I think this is one that a lot of people want to hear about. Like, how much can I earn? Because I don't want to leave my salary and they come and say I want to learn a new tech here, and then I'm going to be starting from somewhere that I cannot manage, right? So yeah, I always say that your prior experience matters. I think it's going to influence a lot of how much you can potentially earn, right? And I will try to be very realistic. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or say, oh, you can earn one big money, right? So I'm going to take it right. If you have work experience, even if it's not PM related, with transferable skills, industry knowledge, and some network, you can earn way much more. So I like to say this because I've seen it influence a lot of people's first salary. Actually, first salary, you're starting out your first product manager job, and you're just starting out, and I see how it influences. So for people who have transferable skills, maybe you've done a sort of like, for example, someone who has worked in marketing communications, someone who has done operations management, someone who has done maybe team lead in an organization, you generally will have a higher salary peak to start with compared to someone who has not. right? So, and because I know that a lot of people are coming from different career paths, so this is very important. So you have to look at, okay, what are the transferable skills that I have? You know, for example, now from everything I've said, you know, product management has a lot of cross-functional duties. You are working with marketing, developer, design, sales, data analyst. You're working with different sets of people. So it means leadership skills is important. Ability to manage meetings and stuff, you know. So there are some transferable skills that are coming, but it plays a big role. So if you don't have transferable skills, it also influences your salary and how much you can earn, right? So in terms of product manager salary range, a person with less than 1 year working experience. When I say 1 year working experience, I mean this is just like a fresh graduate, someone who is just starting out like in their job as a product manager. You have not done anything at all before, or you have just done maybe one work there, no really core work experience, would typically be between 100 to 200K, right? And that is just salary alone. So if you find yourself in tech companies, you will generally collect, some of them will give you like perks, they might give you hybrid work pattern. You know, for example, now we had B got a job at Seamless HR, and the salary fell in between this range. They give him a MacBook Air, brand new MacBook Air 2020 M1 chip. He works from home primarily. So, you know, there are some perks that comes with, he pays for his internet services on a monthly basis. So, you know, so this salary is just salary, right? Ideally, your job should come, especially when it's a core tech company, it should come with some perks. Some might give you stock options, some might give you, some companies might give you stock options, they might give you paid leave. Again, they're core tech companies, HMOs, exactly, right? So, but if you have 1 year working experience or less than 1 year, like you have not done any work at all, typically your salary is going to fall within that range. It's always going to fall within that range, 100 to 200K. Generally, some people might be lucky to get something better, but generally. Then a person with 1 to 4 years working experience, even if it's not product management working experience, but you're just starting out in product management, it always typically be between 200 to 400, right? You are just starting out, but you have worked at other jobs, right? You have done other things. Over 1 to 4 years working experience would typically be between 200 to 400K. You're just starting out, right? Again, depending on the organization. So now that's just, you know, in terms of if you have working experience. Now I'll bring it to product management experience, which is a different thing. So if you're just starting out, a product manager with less than 1 year product management experience, again, the range is always between 100 to 400. Your core product management experience. Now you doing product management, that's going to be like your salary range for you starting out. It's always going to fall typically around that range if you're just starting out, typically, right? A product manager with 1 to 4 years experience of product management within 400 to 700 on an average, and then a senior PM with 5 years and above, 700K and above monthly, right? And then typically if you find yourself in companies outside Nigeria in terms of dollars, right, you typically earn $1,000, $3,000 on a monthly basis. You know, if you're a product manager working for an international company or a company that some product managers, especially if they have experience, they want to collect their salaries in dollars. Some people do that because when you have 4 or 5 product management experience, you have been doing product management, they want to most move over that route, right? A product manager 1 to 4 years experience between $3,000, $7,000, then 5 years experience and above, $7,000 and above, right? I think I still always say this. Bless you can remember that Twitter space, that guy.
Yeah.
From Kuda Bank, right? So, you know, 4 years experience, he earns $1 million plus every month, just for salary, aside from other perks that comes with the role at Kuda Bank. So we all know Kuda Bank or something, right? So again, Nigerian companies they pay quite well. I just think that your prior experience is going to play a role. It's going to play. Your prior experience is going to play a role. But if you are working in foreign companies now, even if you are just starting out, you typically, every foreign company, typically your salary is always going to start from $1,000 upwards. You know, if you do $1,000 to Naira, you start to do your conversion and all of that. Yeah, so, you know, you start to do your conversion upwards. So generally that's like, you know, the salary range of product managers. I always advise people that when you think about doing product management, you want to focus your first year of doing product management to really build up your skill sets. I know, you know, we are in for the money and product managers earn well, right? But at the same time, we say that we want to ensure that that first year, you sort of use it to expand yourself. my mentor, Mrs. Bolafie, she was like, one thing that a lot of PMs need to know, right, is to be able to say, okay, I'm just starting out in product management. You should be willing to take some things to a certain level if you're just starting out, so that you can give yourself a room, right, into it. So for example, now, she was like, someone who is earning maybe 400K currently, and then wants to come into product management, or 300K and wants to come into product management, and then the said person come and collect 180K. Just be like, and that'll be my salary minus 120 or minus 200. And so you have to look beyond it. And then now maybe she'll say, focus on extra perks. And so, okay, what are they going to give me? If you pay me 180K, voila. Should I work from home? So you're not spending money on fare or driving or buying fuel. That's one. Are they going to pay my internet services? Some companies will pay your internet. Might say, oh, take 20K for your internet. Our work consume a lot of internet. I know how much I spend on internet on a monthly basis, right? So again, some things might come it. So you have to just that post. But what I want to say is that be willing to, especially if you have experience prior to now, you're not like a fresher, an undergraduate, a fresh graduate. You want to tend to be able to say, okay, what am I willing to take, right? Because you probably, nobody's going to say they want to pay you 500K. Yeah, just starting out. You don't have core product management experience. Nobody's going to do that. I'm just being very sincere. Except you are coming with industry knowledge. So, for example, now you guys that work in the bank, I always say people that work in the bank, I always suggest you usually transition to fintechs. So, fintech people, Paystack, Flutter, Piggyvest, Carrywise, they are typically looking for people that have banking experience. You are going to bring your industry knowledge of finance into their business. So they will value you more than someone who's just coming randomly with no fintech, with no financial experience at all. Right. Right. So passion does not pay bills. So, but yeah, I think I always advise that if you have industry experience. So, for example, I had this doctor that I trained last year, Dr. Naido. So she moved from doing doctor, right, or being a doctor, to working in health tech. So she's currently at a health tech startup, right? So it was easy for her to move. And I'm sure that she'll be able to command a higher salary because she's coming with industry knowledge from the health industry. Unlike if she moved from being a doctor and they just go and find maybe work in Jumia. How does being a doctor and Jumia work? So obviously they will not say that you're a doctor. But because she's coming with experience and then coming into health tech, you're bringing industry knowledge. So you bring all of the experience that has to do with medicine and you bring it into the career path. So obviously increases your value, right? So that's one strategy I always advise, that if you have especially when you have prior working experience, even if you don't like maybe the financial industry, for example, some people say, I'm tired of working in the bank. I don't want to do anything about banking and stuff. Or some people say, I'm tired of working in maybe in the hospital, stuff, or a lawyer that comes into tech, right? I would say find a legal tech company. There are people who are doing or the tech side of doing legal, right? So, I have this lady, I don't want to mention her name because we are still in the process, but I talked about it sometimes back, right? First is that she's just rounding up in school. She's studying law at UI. She's just rounding up. So she went through the training last year during, there was this strike last year and she went through the training. But long story cut short, when she finished the training, she got an internship outside of Nigeria, which was a remote internship, right? It was not a paid internship. She worked there 3 months. Right now, she now got another job right now that the company is working on a legal tech product. And long story cut short, they are going to be relocating her from Nigeria to the country. Yeah, they're going to be relocating her from Nigeria to the country. They have already started the process already. And it was quite interesting to hear. And she's just about to finish from UI. Right? So, and she's a lawyer. Like she's not officially a lawyer yet now. She's not officially she's not a lawyer yet. She's a law student, right? So she's a law student, she's not yet a lawyer. So but that's just that's just, just saying that by the side in terms of what can potentially happen. But I'm sure that because the company is having to do with legal, having to do with using technology to improve legal activities and stuff, I think it was easy for them to be able to do all of that because she somewhat maybe was able to show herself during the interview that she has some experience and she can do well on the job. So I always advise that if you have prior experience in any certain industry, even if you don't like working in that industry, it will be your easier route to transition. So you've worked in health, just moving to a health tech is much more easier. You bring industry knowledge. You've worked in sports, moving to a sports company that is doing technology as a product manager, you are bringing industry knowledge. You've worked in the bank, moving to a fintech, you are bringing industry knowledge, right? So that reduces, them. It reduces, like, maybe in terms of it builds a bridge to your career majorly. It just makes it easier to come into PM role. You might not command a very super high salary, but you still command a very good salary because you're coming with industry knowledge, and all of that into the career path, right? Which, as you now get 2-3 years down the line, you can just, it's skills. I think that's something I can see from my personal experience. Your salary skills is not like again, because it's a result-driven career path, you can see the results. Right? You just focus on delivering the results, right? And then 1-2 years down the line, you can see your result. It's just easy to say, okay, I need a salary raise. I need a vacation. I need a vacation in Miami, right? So, Sheyi said if you worked in exports, you move into what? Logistics. Yeah. You can move, for example, my company is into logistics tech, right? So you can move into logistics. Yes.
It's manufacturing company.
Exactly. It's not even Nigeria control logistics.
Yeah, no, obviously. Right. Manufacturing companies, right? So if you work hair, right? So, if you have that sort of experience, so find industry knowledge that you have and then use that to, like, move your transition plan. I think that's right. Right. And that will also influence your salary, influence, how you are carried into the organization and all of that. Right. So finally, as we come to a wrap, I said, the average salary range, I've said that before. Yeah, if you work in core tech companies, they give you work laptops, internet allowance, paid leave, stock options, equity. Again, very core tech companies, you have all of those options. So how do you get started in product management? What do you need to do right now? I always say just get properly trained. I think that's the first place, especially because there is, if you're going to watch YouTube or you're going to take an online course, is a plateau of information. Many times people get overwhelmed, right? If you go on YouTube now, what is product management? You probably see 1,000 different results. And if you sit down with it, it's not bad. You learn something. But the question is, how do you apply? How do you take it from learning to application in real time, right? And I think that you want to get properly trained, right? Just get properly trained. I think that's the best place to start from. When you get properly trained, the rest is easy. Get trained, get mentored, is always easier to go up from there, right? Get trained, get mentored. With the training, you have a balance. It reduces your margin of error. So, for example, like I said, when we started out earlier, things were not very, very structured. It was more of everybody was just doing jama, try and error, just trying to get it to make it work, right? But now with the structure, you know what to do. Oh, I'm conceiving an idea. You know how to go from conceiving to PRD, from PRD to working with your devs, from devs to testing, from testing to launching, from launching to delivering. You know what to do. So you're not going to be doing a try and error on the job. You're able to get on the job and then know what to do next, right? Even though sometimes product management can be very, very ambiguous and you can find yourself in a situation where you're just lost because product can be very interesting to build. Second thing I would say is find a community. I think community helps, right? Right now, there's so many product management communities out there. They will help to support your transition. Community helps, right? It just reduces you being alone. And when you have challenges, you can be able to say, oh, hi guys, I have this challenge. I need this thing, right? And find a community to join. The community is going to make your work easy, right? You have like minds. You can reach out. You can ask questions. You can reach out to somebody. The third thing is start to practice. So if you look at it again, start from a proper training. When I say proper training, please go through hands-on training. I think I'm not trying to say online trainings don't work, especially when you have to do with pre-recorded trainings in particular, where you are watching by yourself. If it's a pre-recorded training, I'm not trying to downplay it, but it is, even myself, all right. When I was doing my certification exam, it was pre-recorded. To be very sincere with you, I spent 2 months watching recording that I could have finished in 1 week. I spent 2 months. Because I will start watching it, something's going to distract me. I'll watch it tomorrow, something's going to distract me. I'll watch it next tomorrow, So when I was trying to prepare for my exam, I had quite a number of pre-recorded videos. I could have finished it in 1 week, right? To be sincere, almost 2 months I used to watch. So that's how much, did I learn from it? Obviously, I learned from it, but a lot of time. That 2 months is a lot of time that has gone out of it, just wasted and all of that. But when you go to a proper training, it makes you more disciplined. It makes you more concise. You know what you're doing. You have a community of persons you can always easily reach out to support your transition. That just makes your work a lot more easier. And then the next thing, you start to practice, right? And one thing, if you go through a proper training, they're going to put you into a practice schedule where you have to do things like projects, you work on projects, you get to do live research, you speak to people, you do market research, you draw a roadmap and all of that, right? And then from practicing, you can then start to apply for roles, right? And then the next step is you get your first PM job. Typically, and to be very realistic, right, you're going to go through this process to your first PM job. If you are just starting, if you go through a proper training, it will typically take you 3 to 6 months. Some persons might be earlier, some persons might be longer, right? Just to be very realistic. So you see some persons who come into product management, start, for example, if you start a training today, give yourself 3 months to really learn, right? Learn properly well. Then after that 3 months, now start to apply for roles. So typically, and one thing that's going to come up is that you would, if you're in a very proper environment, you should get support. So when there's support, it makes it easier to get jobs, right? It makes it easier to find opportunities. It makes it easier to get recommendations and so on and so forth. So what you need to do right now is starting a career in product management, from all of this understanding of product management, right? Patrick, tools that product managers use. I don't think you need to focus on tools at the start of your career. Tools are very evasive. They come and go. That's the truth. So I don't even, personally, I don't prioritize tools. They come and go, right? The tools that we're using today, I'm sure that in 5 years' time, some of them might have evolved and gone out of the place. If the product managers that are managing those tools are not evolving them, right? So tools are not what makes you a successful PM. Tools are just, they help your process, right? If you go through a proper training, you're going to learn how to use tools, right? But tools are not what makes you a successful PM. Tools just helps your process, right? What makes you a successful PM is far beyond the tools, right? So I won't talk too much about tools, right? But there are many tools you will typically interact with: Trello, Rockland, Roadmonk, quite a number of tools you typically interact with, right? But right now, you want to start your career as a product manager, get properly trained, right? So, and that's one thing that we do at InnovaLab. We get you to a proper training. You can go through the advanced program training, 10 weeks. You can learn online. You can learn on-site, right? 10 weeks online, 8 weeks on-site. You go through like a proper training, right? Where you get trained, you get mentored. You're going to work on projects. You're going to build projects, And then one thing we have also done at InnovaLab is also put like a close community. So we have a very, we don't prioritize big community. We are more of an engagement. So we have a close community that is very supportive of your transition. I think some of us are coming from InnovaLab community, right now, and I'm sure you guys can be able to chip in how much the community has been beneficial to you, right? Especially for those that are coming in from InnovaLab community, right? Start to practice what you learn, right? I always say when you have gone through a training, find places that you can contribute to. You can even start to use product management skills in your personal business, right? Start to use product management skills in your personal business. Find a friend that is building a startup, somebody that is building something, start to contribute to it, And then finally, you can move from there to now applying for roles and getting your first PM job. Without further ado, these are just the 5 things that you need to get started with right now. With this, you're able to ease your transition process. It's not, you're not dilly-dallying, you're not doing mini manimu, you're not trying to play chess and just trying to, get trained, join a community, start to practice, then start to apply for PM roles, and then you get your first job. And you can literally do this within a 3 to 6 months, right? To be very, again, I don't like to, because people will say, you can learn product management in 2 weeks. You cannot learn product management in 2 weeks. Don't let anybody go you. You cannot learn. In short, say that 6 months, you are still just finding your ground very well, to be very real. 6 months, you are still just finding your ground very well. It's just that when you go through a proper training, you find your ground better, right? Because now somebody has shown you what to do, right? Somebody has said, take this step, take this step, take this step, take this step. So your ground is more solid, right? You cannot learn product management in 2 weeks, right? Even that 6 months is finding your ground very well on the foot. So if you go through these 6 things right now, right? Or let me say the first 3 steps, that's all you need, self. Get properly trained and mentored, join a close community, start to practice, apply for roles, you can get your first PM job, roughly give and take, within 3 to 6 months. All right. So this is, I hope I've been able to explain and show you what product management is all about, what a product manager is, what a product manager is going to do on the job, right? And how do you evolve from there onward, and what do you need to do right now? So if you are thinking about starting a career in product management, again, these are the steps that you need to take, right? So, but let me just get a feel from the house before we go into question and answer. From the explanation that I've explained about what's product management and what a product manager is and what a product manager does, you can type in the chat box, right? Do you have maybe a better clarity about the product manager role and what the product manager role is all about? So let me just get like a quick feedback. Do you have a clarity about what the product manager role is all about from the explanation that I've given earlier in terms of who a product manager is and what they can do, right? Do you have better clarity? Okay, let's get feedback. Do you have better clarity on what the role of a product manager is and what product management is right now, right? So I don't know if there's anybody here that was still thinking that product management, should I do product management? Should I not do product management? So what is, okay, Adebola says better clarity. Okay, right. Let me know if you now understand better what the product manager role is all about. So let me find out from our people in the house. Let me start from Opeoluwa. I'm not picking on you. Please drop in the chat box. Okay, Omotayo says I have a soft landing. I would love to build more. Okay, David says now I understand clearly. Opeoluwa, share with us.
I understand clearly now because I'm coming from the beauty industry, so I already know that. I just don't want to dive into one. I don't want to go to this. No, don't fucking kind but I just know that I already know that I've used different brands, and I know that what I can make for those brands, like products I can make for them, what they need, especially in Nigeria, whereby skincare is now going global in Nigeria. Everyone wants like the skincare something has to be like this chicken. So I know what an individual they can have like you need this. So I can now talk to a particular brand and say, you know what, why don't you just make a particular product for this set of people? So I know that when I become a product manager, I know where I'm going to. Like I should go to that meet.
Anyways.
So I know the company I'm going to. So yeah, I'm convinced.
Okay, amazing. Glad to hear that. So let's hear from Titilayo.
Okay,
better
so
clarity.
for me, yeah, definitely. I'm actually so happy I came here today. Like I won't even like I feel like I've achieved a lot.
Amazing.
Because one thing this session has actually taught me is my 8 years plus experience is not taking.
Yeah.
So I can like when I take on the course fully, and after the course I can like make it like build my CV in a way to not just discard all that I've done in the years. Like it can still be interwoven, and anybody that sees my CV will not take their eyes off me because yes, this is what I've been doing. It's just like this is a new role that I've now done it in a way to fit into product management. So really, it's really an eye opener, and I'm very excited.
Okay, amazing. Okay.
I mean, there's not English for transitioning. It's not more like a transition, like you're just
No, it's not. No,
no, I get it, but like you're improving yourself.
Yeah, your skill sets.
Yeah, because it's like you're still going to be, you might still be in the banking industry, but the way that like FCM people say, oh, we want to create a software for or an app for new up and coming SMEs and everything. So you know how to go to each shop and say, okay, instead of you having this kind of particular app, why don't you download this kind of app just for you alone, for people? So it's like
you have like knowledge. You're bringing in
new ideas to the company and make it. So it's not as if you're trying to just like better make for yourself and also the company. And when you want to ask for money, like
I'm talking another thing about me is because I interact with customers every day and I know their pain points. Like I know when they tell me about how you are mobile happy, so I can like when I'm in that space, right? I can like, okay, this customer complained about this. I can now bring real life examples, real life issues, solutions, and use products to
solve that. Yeah, amazing. What about Mustafa?
Same thing. I think this has been a really eye-opening session. I also deal with products, so not as a manager, more of as a front-end user.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I kind of I know the experience that most people usually have with a lot of products, banking products, and I think it should be quite an easy transition for me.
Okay.
I believe once I get the necessary training, because I know a lot about products.
Yeah.
I also do a lot of the UATs.
How's UAT?
User acceptance test.
Oh, okay, user acceptance. That's like QA now. Very similar to.
Well, I'm gonna QA because I think QA is before the product is rolled out.
Yeah, before the product is rolled out. Yeah.
And it's done by the same company producing the product.
Yeah, sure.
While the UATs are done by the customer.
Okay.
It's not like test the product, see that it performs the function that it's supposed to perform.
Okay.
Yeah, so also do a lot of user onboarding.
Okay, user onboarding. Okay.
So I have quite some knowledge about products.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Awesome.
By next month.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right. Okay, so question, right? Scissors, please, I have a question for someone who has worked in marketing and comms for over 14 years, who now wants to transition to how does it start? Consider that most job adverts ask for experience and portfolio inclusive. So for hi Adebola, so for that's a whole lot. That's 14 years of experience. That's plenty, right? So you should not even be afraid. That's the truth. You should not be afraid at all. That is more than enough for anybody to have faith in you, right? You should not be afraid at all. So even though you're just coming into product management, right? It doesn't mean that all your prior experience is a waste. It is not a waste. Like I've said, product management has a lot of transferable skills. If you look at this, all of these things we've talked about, you see how it sort of relates in a way, especially for some of us, especially marketing comms. I also have a communications background as well, so I know I have a sense of what we do in that space. So there's a relationship there that also has to do with the users as well, right? So is you tailoring your CV, right? Is how you tailor your CV and how you position yourself really that is going to matter. Do you understand, Adebola? It's how you position yourself that is going to matter, right? So it's not really about the coming into product management. It's more about the experiences that you have and how can you take them from all of those experiences into product management. So what you still need is when you get properly trained, right? It's easier for you to now go forward from there, right? So job adverts asking for experience. For instance, when the job advert asks for experience, you can actually say you have a work experience of 14 years, even though it's not a product manager experience. This thing is just, it's just like that. You can actually say, oh, I have a 14 years experience doing marketing communications, right? Which you can now say, oh, part of what I did in the marketing communications role has to do with talking to users, ensuring that products are properly launched. And you will see that there's a relationship between somewhat, in a way, it sort of like fits into themselves, right? It's just that your core duties as a product manager is not marketing communications, but you're still going to work with marketing team, and you still need some idea about marketing, right? Product manager has to know something about marketing so that you can be able to guide the marketing team. Things like market research, competitor research. It's part of the things you learn in a product management training. How do you do competitor research? How do you do product strategy and stuff like that? So yes, your 14 years is an advantage, Adebola, and I think you want to build on that advantage a lot. It's a very big advantage for you, Adebola. So don't bother about whether they say you have this thing. If you go through a proper training, you're going to get a portfolio, because through a proper training, you're going to work on a project, right? And for example, one of the things that we do at InnovaLab is that aside from working on a project, you work on an internship, right? So we'll put you into an open source team where you get to like build a product. So especially for people who don't have like any tech experience at all, right? You get to build a live product, right? So for example, now let me see. I think I have some of the products that our interns built. So this is one, intakes.ng. So this was built by some of the product managers that went through our internship, right? The website is taking some time to load. Let me see. So they built like an health and awareness product that has to help people give information about their health, right? As you can see, this is obviously it's not perfect. If I was the product manager, I would say, okay, there are things to do. But for having this and building this in a matter of 2 months, thereabouts, for people who are just starting out in product management, it is great. You cannot carry this to somebody and say you just started out in product management and you built this with a team, and they are not going to look at you twice, right? Obviously, I can say there are some things that needs to be changed because maybe because of my experience, I would say, no, okay, this thing can put it there, this thing can do it like this. But for them to have worked on this in 2 months after their training, it's a lot of work, right? I think they worked with a team of 2 designers, 3 software developers, or 2 software developers, I think. I think there's another one too that was built, I think that was MadeFinder, right? MadeFinder has to do with the product it's like a platform that connects specialists. Let me see, I think it's mine. Okay, so I think it's showing very well now. Or is it my, okay, no. Okay, right. This was also built by some of our interns in-house, right? So they are product managers that we trained, and then they built sorry about that. They build this platform that connects specialists to people who are looking for specialist doctors. So you're looking for gynecologists, specialist doctors, brain specialists, eye specialists, lung specialists. Quite an interesting stuff that was. I think they have. Where's this? The About Us session. Okay. Yeah. Right. So these are the guys that worked on this particular product. Larry, Daniel, they're all people that came out from InnovaLab, right? Abimbola, they don't have any tech experience. Larry is an architect. Daniel is in the medical line, sales, medicine. Sharaf, Abimbola works at Jumia. Chukuma is in the UK. Fumi is also a beautician like Opeoluwa, right? So, and they work together with this team, design team, and then front-end development team that built that particular product, right? So I know that they have all taken it. Larry have gone from there to Larry is currently working at a UK-based company now, remotely from Nigeria, right? So again, these are things that will come with when you work, when you go through a training like the one that we have at InnovaLab. So because we put that structure for you to help you sort of like go from learning to now doing. Right, which is very, very important. I think that doing part is where the work is majorly for every. If you are just starting out in product management, you really need to go from learning to doing, right? And so there's that internship that we put into place that everybody that goes through InnovaLab program, especially the advanced program, you get whether you do the online or the on-site, you have the opportunity to join and the internship is remote. So meaning that you don't have to come to a physical environment, you can do it alongside whatever it is that you're currently doing, and you get to like have that experience of building something, right? So which I think is also a very big plus because you can then take that internship, add it to your CV, add it to your portfolio. That is, something that you have built. So any other question? Blessing, I don't know, is there any other question that I have missed?
There are no questions.
Okay, any other questions? If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask your question.
Okay, I was going to ask.
Okay.
Does ideas always have to come from product manager?
No, ideas don't always have to come from product manager, but you have to be the one to flesh it out. So flesh it out in the sense that, so your CEO might say, so for example, I remember when my boss was like, oh, we needed to build a, was saying that we should build, so what we initially were working on a mobile app that's to be ride hailing, Uber and Bolt, right? So we wanted to link it to what we do. And because my company is based in Texas, so they wanted to build a localized product for that environment. Texas, a lot of Nigerians are plenty in Texas and all. So we had to even stop the product for now. I don't want to go into that gist. But however, during the time we were ideating the product, we were trying to build like a security feature that we felt that was necessary for Uber and Bolt. And my boss suggested and said, oh, let us build this feature that has to do with a driver can verify a rider, and a rider can verify a driver using your camera, right? So say, because we had this issue of not the driver that's driving the car or something, so you can use, well, I thought about the user experience. Eventually we didn't build that feature. My boss was very strong about it. But I look at the user experience and say, okay, so I book an Uber now, and I can put the phone and say, scan. And say, scan the driver's face. So I think it was going to be weird for a lot of people from a user experience standpoint. Some people might say it's nice, but just saying, scan, it's going to feel somehow. So eventually, it was even the technical infrastructure of even building it and ensuring that it works seamlessly was where we even had a lot of issues. And so that let us even pause on that particular feature back then. So, but again, it generated the idea. I went into like fleshing out the idea and say, is this going to be working? Which is now where I went. I did user research. I spoke to people. I sent out forms. I called people. And then eventually our conclusion was like, no, the experience was going to be somehow weird. I was like, how somebody carry their phone? What if they are doing something else? What, and then people also, there was also an issue of data. Yeah, keeping my face on your device, and stuff. So, that, but again, to be very sincere, my boss did not say stop. It was when they charged me money, I said I was going to cost him so $1,000.
Instead of having their face everywhere when they have national passports.
National passport.
They have national passport, they have their face ID on Apple. They have all this. Your face is already out there.
These days, everybody is more conscious about privacy than before.
Like, before I have like 3 emails. One is my normal email that has to do with my really personal information. Then one, apart from work emails, then one is emails when I want to log into a website that I don't trust with my personal information. So like that.
Yeah, these days more people are conscious. Really, more people are more like, where is my data? Because we know that our data is being sold. Now we all know that our data is being sold somewhere,
so
right?
Very, very
yeah. Okay, so there's a question here. Ungozi said, when it comes to being mentored, it's quite unclear how to go about it as mentees. What and how do you suggest as we mentees should do in order to get a mentor or be mentored? In getting a mentor, it's a very interesting conversation. But I think the best place to start from is it's going to be easier for a mentor to mentor you when you know something. I think that's the best place to start from. It's going to be easier. If you don't know anything at all, you are going to be stressing the mentor. I know if you're looking for a mentor, they're always typically high level, they are busy, they don't have all that time. So I would say get trained first. When you are properly trained, you cannot find the mentor, you can always go to, I have a blocker. Please kindly, I would like to have a 10 minutes call with you. You can be able to, your 10 minutes, 20 minutes is going to be you're going to be maximized. It will just be and it's direct to the point. Like they're just saying, tell me what is product management, or come and explain what I need to do as the product manager. The mentor is going to be like, go and check this thing somewhere, right? So it's going to be easier for you to get mentored when you know the foundations, right? So I still think start from a training first. If you have gone through a proper training, then you can now be able to streamline your questions based off of your challenges on the job, or when you're trying to implement what you do to a mentor, which is going to be a lot more easier. Do you understand? Don't go say, I hope I've been able to answer your question, right? So yes, start from a training first or get properly trained. Then it's easier to get a mentor because mentors generally are always very busy. They're not going to give you 1 hour, 30 minutes of their time, right? And it's not pride, because some people think mentors are proud. It's not pride though. It's just they don't have time, right? and we all know that time is a big deal. So yes, is age a factor as a product manager? No, age is not a factor, even though majority of persons who are working in product are in tech generally are always under 35. Generally is under 35, majority of persons, right? Generally, but I don't think it should. Again, I've not had like a personal experience myself that I say, okay, someone who is 40 and they want to do product management, and how has that influenced? I've not had, but
you've been transitioning. You have to be below 35, or because someone like you now, if you're still going to be working in product management next 10, 15 years, you'll not be 35.
what do you you know my age?
No, I'm not saying, let's say you're working for like just working. Okay, let's say okay, wait now. You're working in this product management in 20 years, and it's not 15, before, like, before 2020, there was no really like title to all of
yeah.
We're just doing
Jama.
So I think like now that we now have a title
Structure.
now, you now see that people that are not like older than 35 now doing the next. No, I'm just trying to understand what this person is. Is like is the person trying to say transition into product management?
Okay.
Or why in product management? That's what I'm trying like.
Okay, so yeah, so is it Kiki or Keke now? Kiki, maybe I'll call it Kiki because we know Kiki. So please, can you be specific? Do you mean is age a factor when you're transitioning or when you are doing product management? Right. So it's more specific. Yes, you can unmute yourself to ask your question, please. You can unmute yourself to ask your question.
And Keke, Kiki. I think there's another question for please. Oh man, I have to leave this place. My phone is going to be stuck.
Oh, okay. So, how flexible is the on-site training? The on-site training is going to be holding every Saturdays. It's just only on Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So I think maybe Blessing will drop an information, or she will drop a number for you to chat her up. But yeah, the on-site training holds is going to start next week Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Right? 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the on-site training.
Is age a factor?
Okay, is age a factor when transitioning into tech? Is age a factor when transitioning into tech? I would say that tech companies are going to prefer young people. Let's be very realistic. They are going to prefer young people. But however,
it still depends on how you can position yourself.
That's the thing. It still depends. Yourself. Yeah, it still depends on how you can position yourself. So for example, now my boss is in his 60s, but he's passionate about tech. He's a Nigerian. So there's a way he talks about tech. Like the way he talks about tech, you can employ him into any company as a product manager, as a product leader, right? He's in his 60s. He's a Nigerian in his 60s. So he's passionate about tech. There's a way he talks about building tech solutions, solving problems with tech. So I think that how you carry yourself, right, and how you position yourself is really going to matter, right? Especially if you are above 35. But generally, tech, especially core tech companies are going to prefer you. They will generally hire 35, people under the age of 35 generally. But again, it's based upon how you also position or posture yourself. Farouk said, what's the training fee for the product management at InnovaLab? Okay, training fee for the online training is 120K. That's 120,000. You can split your tuition into 2 payments. That's for the online training where you learn with the instructor online, right? While for the on-site training is 200,000 at our training center here in Lekki. So for example, I'm having this session from our training center here in Lekki, right? So majorly it's always advisable that if you stay around or you can navigate yourself around this axis, then that would be great for you to come in. So 120,000 for the online training where you learn with an instructor. It's not pre-recorded. You learn with an instructor online. For example, a class is currently going on right now online, right? So I know there's like a 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. class that is happening right now online. So yes, you can do the online training. That's 120,000. You can split your tuition into two payments. And then if you want to join us on site is our training center at Lekki, which is where I'm having like this conversation with you. That's 200,000 for the training, and that you can also split the tuition also into 2 payments, right? The online training is 10 weeks. The on-site training is 8 weeks. Let me share that website. Okay, so if you go to innovalab.com, you're going to see all the details here, right? You're going to see all the details here if you go to innovalab.com /programs. I'll drop the link in the chat box so that everyone can have that. If you want to register for the trainings are starting. The on-site training is starting next week, Saturday. So, and I think we only have 3 persons left right now. I think I've confirmed 6. I'm yet to confirm 1 person. So, because the on-site training we only have 10 persons that we can take in. Right, while for the online training, again, you can join the online training. If you want to join the on-site training, you can also join the on-site training. So all the information, you can get it from that link that I just dropped in the chat box. The online training is starting February 9. On-site training is starting next week, Saturday, which is February 4. Okay, so online training is starting February 9.
Okay, on-site is next week,
Saturday, February 4. So February 9 is like next 2 weeks. On-site is next week, Saturday. So on-site is going to be every Saturdays, while there'll be conversations on Slack during the course of the week, just to maybe you submit your assignments, you are doing a project, will be happening on Slack, but your actual core trainings are going to be happening on-site every Saturdays for 8 Saturdays for the on-site training. So you have 8 Saturdays starting from next week. So that's from February 4 to last Saturday in March, I think. While for the online is 10 weeks. Right, and the classes are starting on 9th of February. Any other questions? So we can call it up. Any other question? Okay.
What are the details of the training? Like, what does the training entail?
Okay, what does the training entail? So, for the training for the advanced program, right? Let me come back to this screen. Right. So for the advanced program, it's a 10 weeks training. It's going to run for 10 weeks. We're going to introduce the product management ideas, which is, again, part of the things I've even talked about right now. More like I've talked about some part of the introduction. We're going to talk about product thinking. How do you do product thinking? User research, product life cycle, segmentation and personas, user stories, user flow, prototypes, wireframe, agile product development, roadmap, competitive analysis, metrics, prioritization, product strategy, minimum viable products, go-to-market, tracking and analyzing product data, then a certificate of completion, and then a 6 weeks internship placement. Many times beyond 6, you go about 6 to 7 weeks.
You guys are responsible to get us the placements.
Yeah, so what we do is open source, not a company placement. So open source is like tech projects that are contributed to by different tech talents. So for example, now Google is generally open source. So Google Android is an open source platform where Samsung can contribute, Huawei can contribute. So that's why all of them have the variation of their own Android platform. So, Samsung has one UI, Redmi has, Xiaomi has another different. So because it's an open source, so their engineers can contribute into Google's products. That's an example of what we mean by open source. So open source is different people can contribute to a particular project together. So it's not a company project in itself. So you're not working for a company in particular. It's more of an open source environment. Right. So that's how yeah, it's remote. It's remote. So for example, now those websites that I showed you, I think intakes.com, MedFinder, they have all open source projects that was contributed to by some of the product managers that we train, UI UX designers, software developers.
So I was going to ask, so it doesn't like that intake or what the message or something that like about 4 or 5 product management work. So does it not matter that they will have the same in their portfolio, like the same, like, so what if we find ourselves interviewing the same company?
It's just like saying
I'm presenting that as my offer. And I'm like, I've seen this before. Does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. It's just like saying 2 product managers work at Flutterwave now and they leave Flutterwave and they go and apply to the same company.
Okay.
No, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Yeah, it's just how we are able to keep yourself, right?
Please, I have a question in the chat room.
Oh, you have a question in the chat room. Okay, so I can't see your question.
Yes, is there that person?
Okay, is there any difference between project manager, your view on if asked if a PM during interview what to do if the CEO wants a product. Okay, there's a difference between project manager and product managers, right? So project managers focus on project, individual deliverables.
And product manager, like you'll be there even after the product has been launched.
Exactly.
Yeah, the death of the product.
Right, exactly. So project managers just focus on deliverables, specific deliverables.
I think product managers are always the intermediary between the company and the user at the consumer.
Right.
Whatever they're not feeling good about, they'll tell you as a product manager, and then you go tell the company.
That's also part of the work, right? But project managers don't really think about the success of products, right? They don't really think about the success. Then your view, if asked a PM during an interview, what to do if the CEO wants a product or feature, but senior dev said it's impossible to develop. This is a stakeholder management question. So your CEO says you want a feature, then your senior dev says it's impossible to develop. I think that's very similar to the scenario that I said. That I said my boss wanted me to build a feature that has to do with facial integration, where the user can verify a driver or a rider via their front camera and all of that. But our engineering team said it was going to cost us plenty of money. I think that will stop my boss, right? But it's a stakeholder thing. I would say that there is no one way to solve this particular problem. Let me first start from there, right? It's going to be more of a conversation on how you manage that conversation between your boss and the engineering team and how to connect them together, right? So you might have to explain why it's not technically feasible, or maybe users are not going to use it, or maybe it's not going to make any money for the business. You have to be able to break that down with data in the sense that you have to show them evidence, you have to show proof, you have to do your research, you have to do your maybe some form of testing to show that this thing is not going to work if you push it, right? So that's one way to deal with that particular issue, in terms of if a CEO says he wants something and then your engineering teams are saying it's impossible to work on. Right.
Like if you start it and middle of it, they'll clearly see that it's not going to work.
That's another thing, but you would have waste time and resources.
Well, if you have some adamant
so you let them be. That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. So if you have bosses who are like, you must do it, then you let it go, right? But please don't carry. Product managers are meant to hate anything per se. Like your job is don't take it personal. That's the word. Don't take it personal. Don't take things. Product manager cannot take things personal because you work with different types of persons and different flavors of persons. So I think one of the hardest thing of doing product management is stakeholders, and it's not even technical. That's the crazy thing about doing products. It's not a technical skill. It's a skill set that you'll be learning on the job as you go. Stakeholder, if you check product schools analysis for last year, the hardest thing for product managers globally is stakeholder. It's not even technical. Has not to do with even the product. It's more about how do you manage people, because we work cross-functionally. The bigger the organization, the bigger the cross-functional team you typically work with. The smaller the company, the smaller the cross-functional team, and so on and so forth like that. All right, I think we need to call it a wrap. This is 2:35. We're 25 minutes above time, right? Thank you for joining the session. I hope that you have a better understanding of what product management is all about. Some of you might have more focus now. It's okay, I really want to dive into this product management thing. Some of you might be like, I'm not sure I want to do it. Maybe I should go and learn design or software development, which is totally fine, right? But I hope I've been able to help you see what product management really is on the ground, and what's the essence of product management out there for you in terms of career projection. So the recording of this session is going to be sent out, and Blessing is going to be in charge of that. It's going to be sent out most likely on our YouTube channel for easy accessibility for anybody, right? If you want to take the product management training, I have just dropped the link in the chat box, right? Again, you can register via that link. And register to join the classes. Again, the on-site training is starting next week, Saturday. It's going to run for 8 Saturdays. The online training is starting next 2 weeks. It's going to run for 10 weeks. Right? Of course, we have a different calendar schedule for that. But just register on that place to get the information regarding the training. So without further ado, we call it a wrap for the day. If you have any questions, I think Blessing must have sent the community group. Blessing, can you send the community group link again? Anybody can join the community group, because community group, you get the information there. Even if you are not ready to start the training right now, still be part of the community and join sessions. We have sessions regularly. So for example, now next week, we're having a senior product manager from Vsauce. She's going to be talking about common mistakes new product managers make. And it's a free session, anybody can join. Next week, Saturday.
All right, guys.
Oh, it's going to be in the evening. It's going to be sent to your mail. It's an evening session. It's going to be like 7 p.m. by 7 p.m. in the evening. So Blessing has dropped the WhatsApp group link for the community group, so you can join that community group. Blessing, I hand over to you. Thank you very much, everyone. Marvelous, are you raising up your hand? Hey.
No, our hands have been raised, like raised since. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for attending this masterclass. It's been an awesome session. Thank you very much, Olabanji, for breaking everything down. Right. Thank you so much. And I believe, when we started this session, we asked about our expectations and all of that. And I believe, Banji has done justice to most of our expectations, right? If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask on the community, or you send any of the admins in the community a DM. I also dropped my number on the chat box because Namdi said he's unable to access the link. So you can just send me a DM so that I'll just send you the link directly. Yes, that's pretty much it. Thank you, guys, and have yourself a wonderful afternoon. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming around.
Thank you.
All right, glad to have you, Mustafa and Olabanji. Yeah, Olabanji. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Yeah, there's a restroom. Ask Charlie. I think it's at the other extreme end. Oh.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you for coming.
It's good to have everybody here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Exactly.
I don't just call you as
Oh, you just made payments now.
Right.
I was supposed to join.
Okay, it's you.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's not for present.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. All right.
So I'll just wait for the.
Yeah. So I think you'll be added to a Slack channel, right? So you're going to add it to a Slack channel. They're also going to send you a resources drive that contains product management resources. Some of the things that we're going to use during the class. So you know what it's going to happen? Just give me your email. I think that will be faster. So that I do it from my end.
No problem. Thank you. Yes.
All
right.
Notepad. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye, Oluwa. Yeah. It's just like you. Okay. Got it.
So it's not every class is for 12, right?
No, 11 to 2. So it's going to be like 3 hours. Yeah, 11 to 2. So we'll be starting 11 a.m. on the dot. So it's trying to come here early because that 11 a.m. is a big thing. Because we have a lot to cover. And the way we have designed the training is to ensure that we don't want to, because we know people are coming from distance, right? We don't want to exceed 8 weeks, right? And still be able to, the online guys are doing 10 weeks, right? And
so
we
why
are
are you
doing,
doing more than us?
no, it's just because of convenience, right? For everybody, right? It's still, your syllabus is going to cover that 8 weeks. It's definitely going to cover the 8 weeks, right? So especially because we'll also be having some conversations on Slack, right? We'll be having some conversations on Slack. You have to learn how to use it. It's a remote. It's a remote.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's very disorganized. Like you can easily list Yes, you can actually.
I think if you don't set up your Slack well to get message, you miss messages. Yes. But for those of us that work remotely, we are used to it.
And that sounds. Once you just say that, I'm just scared. Like, what's happening? I just want to see well, but it's like I think that's like the major part of most PMs use for.
Yeah, for remote team communication, and even on-site teams too. So sometimes, even if you work on-site, because might be like different departments, so they'll still have like a Slack channel that everybody comes on to have conversations on. So
why not Teams?
So
why not Teams?
Teams.
Yeah,
because for some people that are used to Teams, some people use Teams, but not everybody. Again, different companies use different
this
tools.
actually looks user-friendly than Slack. Slack is just because of the plan for. I don't know. Let's say something about that doesn't sit well with me. Okay, so you're saying you don't like that? Maybe it's that whole thing. So it's like it looks fetish. It's just
Really?
Yeah, like Teams you see everything you can. It's just something because I'm used to Teams. I've been using Teams for how many years now? But Slack is just when I joined that trade, I got to me about Slack. So